rest of the program this evening. If I could have everybody take their seats, we've got some great information for you this evening, and we want to go ahead and get this evening started. Thank you for being here. I'm Terry Kimball, and I'm President and CEO here at the Chandler Chamber of Commerce. And I want to thank you all for coming to the Chandler City Council debate. The Chandler Chamber of Commerce is the third largest chamber in the state, representing over 1,500 businesses with over 170,000 employees. I'd like to thank our candidates for coming out this evening to discuss issues that are really relevant to our business community. This debate will be a live broadcast on the City of Chandler's website, the City YouTube channel, and the local Cox Communications Channel 11. It can also be found at the Chandler Chamber of Commerce website. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Intel and Southwest Gas Company. Without their contributions, this evening's event would not be possible. These sponsors are really dedicated to helping businesses grow here in Chandler. It is now my pleasure to introduce our 2022 Chandler Chamber of Commerce Board Chair, Mr. Rick Human, as he leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Nothing better than saying the pledge twice in one evening. So thank you, candidates, for being here. The Chamber is a major public policy advocate for the city and for our business community. So we do appreciate what's going to happen this evening, get to hear your topics. It's now my privilege to introduce our moderator for tonight's debate, a Chandler native who has served 7 terms as the mayor of the city of Chandler, along with 2 terms as a council member. In addition, he served 4 terms in the Arizona State Senate. In January 2019, Judge J. Tibbs Rainey began his first term as Justice of the Peace for the San Marcos Justice Court here in Chandler. It is my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Judge J. Tibbs Rainey.
Thank you, Rick. Welcome, everybody. Good evening, and thank all of you for participating. I would like to thank all the candidates for joining us tonight during this busy election season. I would like to outline the rules and the procedures for this debate. The Good Government Committee is an integral part of the Chandler Chamber of Commerce's public policy and was created for the sole purpose of candidate endorsements. The committee has created questions in a non-biased and business-oriented fashion for the purpose of defining the candidate's views on the government and its role in the business community. In answering, candidates need to provide a brief and succinct response so that the maximum amount of questions may be asked to all candidates. This forum is a civil opportunity for the candidates to discuss their ideas and philosophy on the nature of government and business, as well as the current issues that pertain to this topic. In order to fully clarify the candidate's views on specific issues, we ask that general information about a candidate's platform be laid out in an opening statement or in your closing statement. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening. And are we going 2 minutes on the close, Terry? And 2 minutes on the close. Candidates drew numbers earlier this evening in the order in which they are seated. Candidates will provide a response to a question for a maximum of 2 minutes. Rebuttals will be allowed up to 1 minute. So again, your opening is 2 minutes, your closing is 2 minutes. When we get into the questions, you can answer in 2 minutes, but any rebuttal is a minute. Finally, in order for us to better evaluate candidates' positions and for the purpose of our live broadcast, we also ask that the audience remain respectful during the debate, as I'm sure they will. Outbursts, displaying of signs, comments, and other types of behavior that's not conducive to the forum will not be allowed. And so we just ask everybody to hold your applauses till the end, and then you can applause as much as you want. So please note tonight's questions have been compiled by the Chandler Chamber's Good Government Committee through members of our business community. To take a closer look at each of these candidates, please scan the QR code on your screen or visit the Chandler Chamber's website for detailed candidate information. Now, let's get started with tonight's program. Can we get that and put that back up? And I'm going to introduce the 5 candidates. And again, they're seated by the draw. Angel Encinas, Darla Gonzalez, Matt Orlando, who's the incumbent council member, Jane Poston, and Farhana Shifa. So with that, we'll go with opening statements, 2 minutes, and by the draw, Matt Orlando goes first. Matt.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. I'm Matt Orlando. Pat, my wife, and I lived in Chandler for over 38 years. We started our family here after I left active duty for the United States Air Force. My 3 children were raised here, and they attended Chandler Public Schools, and they're graduates of Arizona's public universities. And now I have my grandkids here. I served on active duty and in the Arizona Air National Guard, and I retired as a colonel after proudly serving our nation and state for over 30 years. I have a business career in a number of high technology companies, and I also own a small business. I could connect with and understand the needs of these type of businesses. Finally, I have the distinct honor of serving 20 years as your council member. As a council member, I have 4 tenets that guided me through as I made decisions in our community. 1, to keep working to build a better quality of life for all of us. 2, to continue to be a strong advocate for safe and clean neighborhoods. To foster smart growth policies and continue to provide open and transparent communication that you have come to expect and is critical for maintaining trust. I want to continue to utilize my experience, leadership, and knowledge to ensure Chandler remains a world-class community. We do this by ensuring we have top-notch public safety personnel, an educated workforce, lots of green spaces and cultural attractions, a vibrant, sustainable downtown entertainment sections, and a high-capacity transportation system that connects employees with goods to their business nodes. We need to continue to have sound fiscal policies that I and others have put in place many, many years ago. We need to expand and enhance our public-private partnerships, including the Chamber of Commerce. And we need a closer working relationship with our education systems. I thank the Chamber tonight and its members for providing the opportunity for all of you citizens to hear what I and the others on this panel have to say that's important issues that face you in our community.
Thank you. Darla Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you, Chamber, for having me here and inviting us up here for you to get to know us. And I want to thank my team who, without their hard work, I would not even be sitting here without all of those signatures out there. So thank you to them and my husband, Charles, who hardly ever sees me anymore, but keeps a smile on his face. So my family, my husband and I moved to Chandler 19 years ago, almost exactly to the date. We raised our 2 children here. Our daughter is 17, our son is 25. I'm very passionate about this city. I'm passionate about it because it's been very good to our family. We've had many opportunities to move and stayed here because it was easy to be rooted and meet our neighbors, and people seemed really happy. So we love this city. That's why I'm running for Chandler City Council, because I want to give back to the city and serve as a servant leader. I think Chandler needs a council member who will understand how hard people work for their money and the taxpayers' dollars. I'm somebody who works full-time in trying to level the playing field for both businesses and taxpayers. I work in the nonprofit sector, and I care very deeply and will respect every dollar that you earn that the city spends on your behalf. And I think that's important. I also am very passionate about making sure our police have all the resources that they need to keep our neighborhood safe. My kids walk to school. Our kids should be out in the parks enjoying themselves and walking to school. And so I'm very passionate about them. So I want Chandler to dream big. I'm dreaming big. I want the residents to dream big. And I'm just very thankful to be here today. So thank you.
Thank you. And again, just to reiterate to the candidates, when the clock turns yellow, that means 30 seconds left. So far, so good. But, and with that, we'll go to Angel Encinas.
Awesome. I want to thank the Chamber, its sponsors, and Judge Shipsharani for being here with us tonight. I also want to thank my friends and family and my supporters who have brought me here, got me onto this ballot. To everyone, good evening. My name is Angel Encinas, and I am your hometown candidate. I was raised in downtown Chandler my entire life. I watched the evolution of Chandler from Bank One becoming Santan Brewery to shopping on opening day at Chandler Mall. I am a proud graduate of CUSD, a graduate of Arizona State University, and currently a small business owner here in downtown Chandler. Over my lifetime, I have continuously reinvested in our city, and I want to continue that investment by representing our community here on this dais. As a lifelong resident of downtown Chandler, a member of the Latino community, a member of the LGBT community, and young professionals, I believe that I can be the voice and representation that has been absent from this council. As the only homegrown candidate in this race, my passion for and dedication to this city is unmatched. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to speak directly with Chandler voters tonight, and I'm looking forward to discussing the issues that have been on top of mind of Chandler residents. For my Spanish-speaking voters out there, buenas tardes. Les quiero dar gracias al Chamber aquí y también a sus patrocinadores y al juez Chip Sherrini para estar aquí con nosotros hoy. Yo soy Ángel Encinas y soy hijo de Chandler. Quiero traer representación y la voz de nuestra comunidad aquí en este concilio. Gracias por la oportunidad para hablar con ustedes hoy. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate is Farhana Shifa. Farhana.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Chandler Chamber of Commerce, City of Chandler, all the audience who are sitting here and who's watching from other places. I'm Farhana Shifa. I'm running for your Chandler City Council. I've been living in this city for 16 years. My both daughters were born in this city, and we are raising them in this city. Ours is a veteran family, so giving back to the community is in our nature of the family because of the charitable work we do together as a family. I'm fortunate to be in USA, to be in Arizona, and to be in Chandler. Right after 48 hours after giving birth of my youngest daughter, I took the oath to become a US citizen. That day changed my life because I was asked to come out of the big room in the Phoenix Center and told, come outside, the judge is waiting for you. I went up there and the judge said, you will have your personal oath and go home and take care of your baby. I still get emotional to tell this story. My Navy veteran husband that moment just looked at me and told me, this is the country I fought for. And that day I realized this is the home I called to live in, and I have to give back every way I can. So Chandler residents, I want to be your voice. I want to represent our city with a servant heart. So I wish to gain your trust. And tonight we'll discuss a lot of things, and you will get to see where I stand. And hopefully we keep this city better together.
Thank you. Jane Poston.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jane Poston, and I am very proud to be running for the Chandler City Council. And again, I thank the Chamber, Judge Jay, all the sponsors, everyone here in the audience and online, because I know your time is very valuable, and it's important that you be here. So I wanted to start off by just telling you a little bit about me and how I think that applies to the job I'm applying for, which is Chandler City Council. I am a mom. I'm a long-term Chandler resident. I'm a small business owner, and I'm a former city employee. And I think the mom part is easy. I chose to raise my family here because of the amazing quality of life. I want to be a part of maintaining that quality of life. It's what draws so many families like mine here. As a longtime resident, I've had 20 years of leadership service from everything from the Chandler Education Foundation to Women in Leadership to the Chandler Chamber Board Chair. And I think those relationships and collaborations with other organizations outside of the city are critical to getting things done. As a small business owner, I've owned that business for 22 years with my husband, Jason. And you don't own a business these days for 22 years unless you're fiscally responsible. We got through the downturn of 2008, 2009. We got through the pandemic, and we came out quite successful and are paying our tax dues, and we are raising our family on that. We're putting a couple of kids through college on our small business, and we're very proud of that. And finally, as a city employee, my job was literally to understand the issues and be able to transmit that information to residents. I have been out meeting with stakeholders, with business leaders, and if you want somebody that's going to work hard, ask the right questions, listen to the residents' response, then I ask for your endorsement from the chamber and your vote on August 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to get into the questions. So I will ask a question to the candidate. The candidate has 2 minutes to respond. It'll be on the clock. If somebody feels, everybody will get a chance to answer each question. If you have a rebuttal for something one of the somebody said, you can do that. You'll have 30 seconds for a rebuttal, right? 1 minute for rebuttal. So we'll give this a try. It worked out pretty good on the last debate, but we only had 2 candidates, so we'll see. Darla Gonzalez, question 1. Please describe your previous work in the Chandler business community and or any governing boards. How do these experiences qualify you for city council?
Well, that's a really good question. My husband and I own our own business here in Chandler. Where our business is in database management, human resources, strategic marketing for nonprofits and for-profits. So we've owned our own business pretty much since we've been here, along with having full-time jobs. So needless to say, there's never a spare moment. I also work for full-time in nonprofit work in legislation and government on Arizona state politics. So we work on legislation that is pro-business and pro-taxpayer. We support legislation that helps businesses, gives money back to taxpayers, and we oppose anything that is going to take money out of your pocket that's not responsible or fiscally conservative. So I've done the working on the government issues now for 5 years, and so I've been teaching people how to speak to their elected officials, give their opinion, give their voice, and make sure that they understand exactly how the money's being spent, and helping them understand when bills that are trying to be passed through the legislature would not be good for them. And so that's now I want to apply that same leadership and ability to help the city of Chandler where they need it.
On this question, I don't think we really need a rebuttal unless somebody feels compelled to rebut the resumes or the position, this position. So Angel, same question.
Thank you, Judge. Now, I formally do not hold any positions on any boards, committees, or organizations. But what I do have is a seat at my office, where day in and day out, I do immigration consulting work, and I work directly with members of our community. Our office helps assist with legal immigration, job applications, housing opportunities, and even simple tasks as helping someone understand their utility bill or their bank statement. Our office is a hub to the community that connects our residents with the resources they need to help them become contributing members of our community. I'm qualified to do this because I'm already doing the work, and I'm prepared to do it on a larger scale. I'm a business owner. I know how to run a budget. I know how to run operations, and I know how to work with people to get the job done. I know there will be a learning curve transitioning from the private to the public sector, but I'm confident that my experience will give me the solid foundation to be successful in this role. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for Farhana Shifa.
Thank you. I've been directing, advising, or even organizing projects for many years as a project management professional. Also, I do own a small business in the city of Chandler. I've been serving our city for 6 years now as your art commissioner. And also I have been engaged with the community development projects and other organizational advising position. Especially currently I'm serving with the Lions Club International, one of the biggest nonprofit organization in the world, as a first vice district governor. So we do have a not only local needs to address, also global needs to focus on. And in the city, working in the area or working with the people of this city or even working at the art commission, I get to understand my project management skill aided me to understand how to do responsible budgeting, be staying in the fiscal responsible mood, and also how to spend the money. Is the balance of resource allocation, time management, and the money management. So combining all these three will be more, make me more successful to be in the city council, where when we have the humongous amount of money to handle, and more than that, we have so many people's life and well-beings depending on the city council.
Thank you. Same question, Jane Poston.
Okay. I spoke briefly as my experience as a city employee. What I was saying is that in order to be a communicator, a good communicator, you have to understand your topic. One of those topics was the city budget. I understand the ins and outs from behind the scene and what's important and what's not. And absolutely the fiscal responsibility that the city shows by spending one-time money on one-time issues and ongoing dollars on ongoing projects is something that I would abide by. I have served on quite a few boards and commissions, including the Chamber Board, actually serving on a board bringing it out of the red and into the black, not the Chamber Board, a different one, as well as owning a small business, and I spoke to my budget skills there a little bit earlier. Additionally, I've served on both the bond and override committees for the school district, as well as most recently the bond issue for the Chandler City, for the city of Chandler. I was on the airport committee, the airport subcommittee for that bond issue. One thing to note is I was very proud that we were on the Airport Commission bond subcommittee, that we actually didn't put any issues forward. We discovered that there were some grant opportunities that could take care of some of the issues and some of the items that we were presented, and really thought that that would be a better use of the dollars than going out for a bond election. We took one item and saw that it would be taken care of by transportation and be an economic driver around the airport. And we asked that the transportation made sure that they were bringing that forward. So we tried to be as responsible as we can, and that's my experience. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Orlando, do you want me to repeat the question?
I think I got the gist of it.
Okay.
What did I do before I became a council member? I've been service all my life. As I indicated earlier, I served the state as an Air National Guard member. I led teams to fight floods in areas of the state. I led teams to fight fires in areas of the state. And of course, I led teams for Homeland Security issues. So I have served my state and my nation in that regards. I've also, but prior to becoming the council, I was on the YMCA board. I was president of that board. I'm the Optimist Club, the American Legion, the National Guard Association, other Chandler youth sports I coached. And then I got smart and I became an umpire instead. I thought about it a long time and I said, why am I putting up with this when I could be calling the shots on the field and telling the coaches to go sit down and them telling me to go sit down? The bottom line is this, service is in my blood. I retired, came back to the council because we have term limits, came back again because I love this city. I love the nonpartisan nature of what we do. I said this before and I'll say it again. Potholes are not Democrat, they're not Republican, they're potholes. Let's fix them. And that's what I love doing. So I've served this community, I've served the state, and I've served this nation. And as long as I got a breath, I'll keep serving.
Thank you, Matt. Okay. Second question, we'll start with Angel Encinas. And if somebody wants to rebut one of the comments, just raise your hand and we can do it that way. But we'll all get a chance to have you answer this question. A non-discrimination ordinance has been proposed by the business community Do you support or oppose a NDO in Chandler and why? Angel Encinas.
Yes, I 100% support an NDO. It is the job of our government to protect all of its citizens equally under the law. And when our federal government doesn't do so, it is incumbent that our local government fill that void, as it is the first line of our defense. You know, Chandler, as a city of innovation, is one of the only major cities in the East Valley that does not have an NDO in place. You know, we have over 20 years of precedent nationally that NDOs work and that they are not vehicles to exploit businesses financially or vindictively. Our city pays GPEC around $150,000 per year for economic development consulting. GPEC, East Valley Partnership, and the Chandler Chamber of Commerce are three of the largest business representation organizations that support NDOs as employment attraction and retention tools. As your council member, I would support an NDO that is carefully crafted and considered by all stakeholders in which an NDO would impact. You know, as I said, Chandler is one of a city of diversity, of innovation, but and all welcoming. But if we are not, we need to be we need to talk the talk if we are going to walk the walk in the sense of this NDO. Thank you.
Farhana Shifa, your position on an NDO.
Thank you. Chandler is the most diverse city. Look at the candidates here. And so look at the council in our city. So we have all types of representation. And our biggest employer, Intel, hires most qualified workers from the diverse background, all types. We cannot legislate people's heart. A legislation, if that doesn't have any enforcement, that's not going to change the habit of the people. So for me, the way the NGO is crafted, that's not sufficient enough because our US Constitution First Amendment already protected all Americans, and our Chandler City has been doing a great job. And also our EEO law has been described who are the people are protected, such as race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, age, sex discrimination, and genetics. So in our city, if we want to have a legislation just as a proclamation, that's not good for us. But if we can craft it more finely and we can do the fact check and we can protect the constituent, that would be the great way. And also, not only my voice, we should be waiting till July to DEI, the department, giving the survey result to the council and to the city. That will give us more clear picture than individual opinion. Thank you.
So do you support or not support what the council is looking at?
You want to know yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So no, the way it is crafted right now, no.
Okay, thank you. Jane Poston.
There we go. I support an NDO in Chandler. As a small business owner and as part of the Chandler Chamber of Commerce, I was a part of actually bringing this issue forward from our business community to our city council. And it is disappointing that they have yet to take up this issue despite the strong recommendation of the business community. At this point, we're looking at several different non-discrimination ordinances, looking at our neighbors as we always do for best practices. And I've always been in support of an NDO that was civil, not criminal. That's one issue that I want to be very clear on. This is a civil issue, and I think that all of our residents in Chandler deserve to be treated equally and fairly, and I believe that this sort of legislation would help with that.
Thank you. Councilmember Matt Orlando.
Yes, I support an ordinance for an anti-discrimination ordinance. Look, why we're here today discussing this is because our state and federal government will not pass an ordinance. They pass laws for everything, as you indicated earlier, race, color, religion, sexual, sex, national origin, but yet they left out LGBTQT. I mean, all we're doing is taking the next step here. So if our federal government won't act and our state won't act, And our community is a very diverse, inclusive community. All we're doing is codifying our beliefs. And that's why we're here today. It is supported by numerous religious organizations, including the LDS Church, the Methodist Church, and who else? The Episcopal Church, just name a few. It's supported by our major businesses, because here's the bottom line from an economic standpoint. And I grew up in corporate America. Their people there are hiring today are very social conscious. And there are actually people that have told me that they will not live in Chandler if we do not abide by these particular rules and our norms. So we have to be competitive. And we have other cities. We have 10 cities today: Mesa, Scottsdale, Glendale, Tempe, Tucson, Sedona, Winslow, Flagstaff. All these communities have embraced this issue and said, yeah, let's do an ordinance to codify this. If a company is site selecting and Chandler is not on that list, folks, we may move out on the next business. So that's why I support it. And finally, I do agree with you, Ms. Poston. It should not be punitive. It's not criminal. That's another thing going around. It's civil. I truly believe education and mediation would be the proper solution for any type of activities.
Thank you. Darla Gonzalez.
Yeah, so with the NDO, let me just say that I love the word inclusion, diversity, and equity. My license plate is justice for all. So I work full time in trying to create an equal playing field for all people. And I love justice and I love equality. But having said that, I've been talking to people who are for it and I've been talking to people who are against it. And I haven't really seen it or read it to even form my own yes or no. I'm trying to find out and do my due diligence before I come to a conclusion on whether I would vote yes or no on this. And that's just the honest truth.
So no position at this time.
No position at this time.
Okay. All right. Next question. We'll start with Farhana. The relationship between the chamber and the city is an important one. In your opinion, what are the most pressing issues facing the business community that you could work on in conjunction with the chamber to keep our business community thriving? Farhana.
I'd like to thank the Chandler Chamber of Commerce for being the leader of the business community. 110 years of existence, and even before 2 weeks prior to the city has been started their business. That's what I get to learn a few days ago at the proclamation of the 110th years of Chandler Chamber of Commerce. Um, it has been always established that Chandler Chamber of Commerce is the strategic partner of the Chandler City. And also, I strongly believe in private-public partnership. I do not like very big imposing government dictating everyone's life. So the Chandler mission is to educate the business community, attract the new businesses, and retain the businesses while embracing the diversity. And it's a win-win situation. The Chandler City is benefited by the Chandler Chamber of Commerce, and if you attended the Ostrich Festival, you know how much of a success both partners can do together, especially the Chandler Chamber of Commerce. I enjoyed it immensely. And in our city, lot of new businesses are attracted to come in because of the safety reason, thanks to our law enforcement and first responder, because of the family environment, because of the economic growth, all kind of positiveness. And all these people, when they come, they need a peer community, not only the knowledge resource center. While government can give them all the tools and the legality aspect of it, Chandler Chambers, on the other hand, groom them, assist them, and maintain them as a family. So it's a hand in hand work, and the business community needs both.
Thank you. And if anybody wants the question repeated, just ask me. Jane Poston.
Thank you. I think it's a critical partnership, plain and simple. I know from personal experience that there are issues that come to the city that are much more appropriate for the chamber and their resources that may not be appropriate for the city to take hold of. I also know that because the chamber is so involved and out in the community and talking to so many businesses, that they come across issues that are more important or more appropriate for the city to take on. It's an excellent relationship because, quite frankly, both entities have the exact same goal: recruit businesses and keep them here. But they just each have different ways and different areas to handle it. You asked what specific issue that I think is important for the chamber and the city to work on next, and I would say that it's workforce development. I think that is an issue across our country, both workforce development and workforce training. So a lot of that, while the education community really isn't in the purview of the city, it's certainly one of our most important partners. And to find any ways that we can help foster that relationship and work with the chamber to foster the relationship between the needs of our businesses and the resources that our community has, both from the chamber resources and our education community, between all the way from K-12 to our community colleges to our university resources. I think that's the next step and the biggest thing that could help our businesses right now.
Thank you. Councilmember Matt Orlando.
Thank you, sir. This community was built on relationships and partnerships, and the chamber is part of that development of this community. In fact, they've been around longer than the state of Arizona. So I think they know a little bit about business, a little bit about moving forward in our society. I was in corporate America. One of my roles in my few later years was acquisitions. And quite frankly, when I look for a company, I didn't call the government first. I called the chamber because they'll give you a better view of what this society is going and where this company is and how to position yourselves within this community. Only after I gathered my data from the chamber did I call the elected officials and the economic development and all that checklist worth of entities. The chamber plays an important role, as I've indicated earlier in our partnership. They used to do all of our retention visits. In fact, we used to give them a contract for it. And they would come here quarterly and they would explain to us what's going on in our community. They are the ears of our community. People, business owners would love to talk to business owners sometimes before they'll talk to government entities. And we have to take advantage of that priority so that we could continue getting and growing our business in our community and let the chamber do what they do right. They do a great job, and I'm on the committee, the education committee. They do a great job in reaching out to to the community as well, education. So they're a strong partner. We need to continue utilizing them. And as a council member, I will keep furthering that relationship.
Thank you. Darla Gonzalez.
Okay, I'm the person that's going to ask you to repeat the question because I think somewhere along the line, I'm not sure.
Okay. The relationship between the chamber and the city is an important one. In your opinion, what are the most pressing issues facing the business community that you could work on in conjunction with the chamber to keep our business community thriving?
Okay, that's what I thought the question was. So that's good. So anybody that knows me knows that I am relational and not transactional. Anybody that works with me knows that for me is most important. I know and have been a part of the chamber probably my whole life. I come from Oregon. I had businesses there. And you're right. I remember once when I wanted to move to Alaska, I called Juneau Chamber for a big packet to be sent to me. So they are a great resource. The issues that feel like strongly that we should be working together on, and these are issues that come off of your legislative documents that you have put out, that I wrote down that I think are strong, which is a strong economic environment conducive to business success in Chandler, help attract new businesses to Chandler and startups, and support recovery efforts post-pandemic. I think that businesses were hit pretty hard during COVID. There was a lot of collateral, and I think that the chamber and the city can work really strong at bringing some of those businesses back and bringing resources to them. I believe there used to be a team, Matt probably knows the answer, there was a team that put together that helped small businesses and startups with regulations and different things. I know they do that for Intel. I don't know if that is still going on, but if it is, that's something that I'd like to build up or resurrect. And so I think the partnership is strong. I love going to the events, the information that they put out, the networking. I think it's all very relational, and I support it. And I support legislatively pretty much most of what they have put out for pro-business
Thank you.
issues. Thank you.
Angel Encinas.
Awesome. Thank you so much. The Chamber of Commerce is responsible for bringing the issues that businesses care about to the forefront on local, state, and national policymakers. The Chamber is the voice and bridge of the business community to our government, and it's the city's job to respond to those needs. The Chamber should also support the city in the issues of local control and when otherwise in the city's and the business community's mutual interests. It's in the proverbial lane of the Chamber to present those issues to policymakers and subsequently lobby on their behalf. You know, when our Chamber and our city aren't working together, progress stalls. You know, if the Chamber wasn't the quintessential voice of our business community, we wouldn't be up here vying for its endorsement. I know that I can help strengthen the relationship back to a healthier sense between the Chamber and the city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question, we will start with Jane Poston. Chickens have come up recently. Actually, they came up in the last debate. Anyway, chickens. The council is working on that. It's making its way to the city council for a vote on whether to allow chickens in non-HOA subdivisions. So do you support or oppose allowing residents to have these chickens in their backyard?
I can't believe I get the chicken question to start with, so thank you for that. Um, You know, I think to begin with, this issue was approached several years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. I think we heard that in the last discussion. And I think it's also important to note that it has yet to come to a public hearing. It's been handled in a workshop at this point. And so we haven't had a chance to overarchingly hear what our residents and our business community thinks. So I think that's very important on any issue, is that we make sure that we're listening to what our residents want. And so we just haven't hit that point. That being said, I'm not going to hedge my bets on this one, or I'm not going to hedge on this one, rather. I have been out talking to quite a few people, and overwhelmingly, people are telling me that they prefer not to have more chickens in their backyard. I do agree with the position that this disproportionately affects our traditional neighborhoods in terms of allowing so many chickens in that area. Right now, chickens wouldn't be allowed in HOAs. And, you know, when you move into an HOA, you have those certain protections and expectation of what you are going to get when you move into that area. Our traditional neighborhoods are relying on us as city government to help protect those same expectations of what they moved in when they moved into a residential neighborhood, not an agricultural one. So no, I don't support more chickens in backyards.
Thank you. Councilmember Matt Orlando.
What she said. You know, we have some folks in this room today that remember this chicken ordinance several years ago, and were here spoken in opposition. And it's still the same issues they were concerned about. Again, I don't want to pour more problems on our traditional neighborhoods. I came to Chandler, a traditional neighborhood. I chose to move in HOA, but you know, traditional neighborhoods, we have a lot more work to be working with, a lot more work to do with the traditional neighborhoods. And to add this other issue onto that, I just think it's a little premature right now. Um, you know, we could talk about permit process. We could speak about getting your neighbors' signatures. But you know, one of those, when we start doing that, you start pitting neighbors against neighbors. What happens if one neighbor wants chicken, the other 7 don't? What do? I just can't say, well, the ordinance says I'm going to pluck chickens in there because the ordinance says that. Well, what about the other 6 neighbors' property rights? So we have to be concerned about that. I don't want to pile on our traditional neighborhoods. I think, you know, when we first moved here, there was a lot of farmland out here. I don't remember very many chickens in Chandler, a lot of cows, a lot of sheep, a lot of other things, but not many chickens. We're a city. We're 282,000 people. We're almost the size of Newark, New Jersey, where I grew up. And I don't remember very many chickens in Newark, and I don't remember very many chickens being here. So right now, I go slow on this. I get more, and I'm hearing a lot of neighborhoods saying, no, I don't want to go through this pain of process of chickens. And we could talk about diseases and molts and other stuff, but right now, we have to respect the rights of all residents in our city and not just a couple hundred people that may want chickens. Thank you.
Thank you. Darla Gonzalez, chickens.
Chickens. So Matt, where do you buy a chicken? Because I can't figure out where to buy chicken anyway. Is there a chicken selling place around here?
Probably 20 miles from here.
Okay. I have, okay, so I talked to thousands of people out there getting signatures, and I asked them this question. This is my survey question: chickens or no chickens? And most of the people, to be honest, want chickens in their backyard. I don't get it. I don't want a chicken in my backyard, but the government, the role of government is to protect property rights. And this is tricky because who's got the right? If you own property, who has the right? This is a really tough decision. I can see why it's taken years to like not make one, right? Um, but I'm a freedom lover, and so I'm really struggling with this issue. I've heard both sides from several people. I'm hesitant to say where I stand with it because my freedom loving part of myself and the part that wants to protect people's property rights is then there's this logical other part. So I'm like not sure what I want to tell Les no chickens. I so badly want to tell him that. But I just haven't found a lot of people who want to have chickens in their backyard. So I have to ask the question, are we majoring on the minors here? Are there 20 people in the whole city that wants chickens, and we're spending all this time talking about something that, you know, literally there's just a handful of people who want chickens? And if that's the case, I say let's not major on the minors.
So you're saying no to chickens?
I would say if there's 20 people that want chickens and 260,000 people that don't want chickens, then we shouldn't have chickens. So I don't know if that made sense, but I'm still, I know, like, it's just like we're talking about chickens and there's probably 20 people out there that want chickens. So it's a
The
tough
reason the
subject.
question got asked is because the council's considering those 20 people or those 5 people or those 3 people, whatever
I
it is.
understand that. And that's why I've been talking to people and reading proposals and trying to fact find so that I could make due diligence.
So if you had to vote today, how would you vote on allowing chickens into those those traditional neighborhoods?
I would probably vote no, just
Okay.
because there's so few people that
Okay.
really want chickens. But I could change my mind.
Thank you. Angel Encinas.
All right. Well, personally, I don't have a problem with my neighbors having chickens. I live right in the heart of downtown Chandler. It's a traditional neighborhood, and I'm pretty sure my neighbor a few years ago had a few chickens because a rooster would be waking us up every other day. But you know, luckily it was at a decent hour, so I was okay with it. And then I didn't hear any more of that chicken or rooster anymore. So I'm not sure what happened there anymore. But my main concern with these chickens, with the chicken debate, basically, is that yeah, 70% of our residents are protected by HOAs, and the other 30% where I live are communities that are already in distress, and you know they're the bulk of the code enforcement already. And so I feel if we allow these chickens to enter our neighborhoods, it's going to bring more work and more cost to our enforcement department that's already overwhelmed here in Chandler. You know, we also have the potential of different things with the chickens as far as like health conditions, salmonella. Are people going to start selling these eggs? Who's controlling this and who's overseeing it? You know, and so ultimately, for me, having chickens in Chandler is fraught, and you know, it's more potential for a problem than it's worth from a policy perspective for me.
No on chickens.
No on chickens.
Farhana.
Boy, I have dogs, no chicken. So it reminds me of the pit bull issue. Like it was a hot conversation. Can we have that breed or not have that breed, right? And chicken are not that aggressive, but thankfully, some of my good friends brought up some researches in front of me that shows a lot of investigation about the disease, about the harmfulness of having the chicken. But I grew up in my childhood having the chicken around me, so I have a little bit of soft heart for them. Finding the egg in their hatch is such a joy that our kids they will never experience in USA. For my daughters, chicken means only go to the grocery and see the meat. They don't even know they walk and fly or walk around. So, but my point is about this issue, voting yes or no. Um, Angel said it very nicely that we have the HOA thing, like their law and regulation prohibit a lot of practices that our residents can do and cannot do. So if some people want chicken, if they can raise their own kids, I think 1 or 2 chicken will be okay. They would be responsible enough to raise that chicken. So my vote will be yes, because I don't want to take away the right from those people who has the right, ability, understanding to raise chicken. And also, I do not want to make others feel that they're under threat. So I think the previous debate, we get to understand the real council elected people right now, they have been discussing and made the decision with some fine regulation and restriction. We, we can give the freedom to have chicken for those who can do it right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Farhana. Okay, next question. Start with Councilmember Matt Orlando. A well-educated workforce is vital to supporting our needs of our employers, especially in our growing high-tech industry. How will you work with our educational institutions to help with this endeavor?
Thank you. As indicated, I came from the corporate America. And when you do acquisitions, mergers, as I was indicated earlier, and when I'm recruiting, trying to recruit new people, the areas I look for was high education impact areas. And that was a key because if I don't have an educated workforce, I'm not going to be successful in my business. So when we look at a community like Chandler, we are very fortunate. We have one of the best school districts in the state. Some of our schools rate top in the nation. Our universities are downtown. We have ASU downtown. We have the Innovation Lab. We have the U of A is expanding their programs downtown. We have a great program with the Chandler Gilbert Community College. And it's not just getting a degree. It's also talking to some of the, like XP today, it's not so much, I don't need a degree. I just need some folks that could go in a 6-week training program or a 4-month training program where they could work in a high-tech industry job, semiconductor. You don't have to be a college graduate to work on some of these jobs. So not only we should be striving for a degree, but we should be subscribing, working with our school district so that kids could get a chance to go to a community college or go to a business and be able to be a part of the workforce. So it's a myriad of issues. It's not one size fits all, as I'm trying to say.
Thank you. Darla. Yes, I will. A well-educated workforce is vital to supporting the needs of our employers, especially in our growing high-tech industry. How will you work with our educational institutions to help with this endeavor?
Wow, that's a question I have not heard. So as I'm thinking this through, I think of my son who went to Perry High School, and he got a 2-year culinary arts program degree. And then there's EVIT, and there's all these educational opportunities for kids to not just learn on higher education, but also to learn cosmetology or different things, including high tech, I think, especially with the computer age and all of the IT opportunities that are out there. So what would I do? I guess what I would do is go to the schools and see how we can be of help. What can we do? How can we help? Can we facilitate internships? Are there internships within the city? I don't know, but that's a really good question, and I'm definitely going to go down that path and see what it is we can do, because I think it's a great opportunity for mutual benefit between students and companies.
Thank you. Angel Encinas.
Yes. You know, Chandler is the tech hub, and we have amazing schools here in Chandler. We need to continue to collaborate and build with our city's tech leaders and our educational institutions through public-private partnerships. We need to be able to create spaces and opportunities physically and academically to advance programming and student recruitment. By working with community partners like Intel, ASU, U of A, Chandler Gilbert Community College, and Si Se Puede to create paths for learners of all ages to advance together to higher education and employment within our tech industry. Thank you.
Farhana.
Again, I'm a strong believer of public-private partnership and bringing the well-educated workforce, definitely it allows that partnership relation first. So a couple of things we can do um, as a community even, that early recruitment, encouraging the business organization, the employers to do early recruitment, not just after the graduation when the kids comes to the interview board, that point of hiring, but going to the institution and colleges and high schools and educating them about the job requirements and guiding them to earn those knowledges. And mm, I always believe high school is too late. We should be starting very early, even elementary and middle school. So, like a STEM program by the Intel or the robotics program from Shisei Puede, those kind of work build the mindset of our children and the next generation to these future work areas. So we need to keep encouraging our mm, business owners and the employers to do that. But government perspective, I believe Chandler Chamber of Commerce is a great partner already doing this. But from government partnership, we can encourage the existing business and all the entities to recognize their effort or encouraging their effort and giving them the pathway how to connect with our young generation and start the early recruitment process. So as a government, if we recognize them, they will be proactive to reach out to the future workforce. I believe that's the way we can groom and foster the great workforce in Chandler.
Thank you. Jane Poston.
Well, I think anybody in economic will tell you that a well-educated workforce is the number one driver of why companies choose Chandler, because we have such a well-educated workforce. We are very fortunate to have excellent schools, right down from CUSD to our community colleges and our universities. I have had a long-term relationship with our current school district. I'm a supporter of schools, and actually, I'm very fortunate to be serving on a visioning panel right now with CUSD, where they brought together a community, a very diverse community of stakeholders to decide a portrait of a graduate, to determine what those graduates need to look like in our community and what the school district can do and where they need to go from there. I think encouraging a solid workforce, whether it is in the university education or those certificates that the either our current public or our, I'm sorry, I've lost track, that some of the certifications that our community colleges can provide, as well as some of our businesses that are actually doing that themselves. We have McCarthy doing that. We have Intel doing that. They're helping to develop their own workforce. Anything that the city can do to help facilitate that is going to help the city as a whole become better and to continue to attract those businesses that are so important to Chandler.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question, question 6, this starts with Darla Gonzalez. With Chandler at near capacity for development and with only about 8% of the land left undeveloped, what recommendations do you have for not only the remaining land use, but how do you help create workforce housing in our city?
Okay, so the first question is, you had two questions
With
in there.
Chandler at near capacity for development and with only 8% of the land left undeveloped, what recommendations do you have for not only the remaining land use, but
Okay,
how do
that's the
you
first question.
help create the workforce housing in our city?
Okay, so with I think I heard the mayor say it was like 95% built out right now. And so I think there are a lot of opportunities within the city with refurbishing and looking at empty buildings and office buildings. And I think if we bring our startup businesses and we bring people in to use some of the buildings that aren't being used for business, that would be one. For the extra 5% of land, of course, I love parks and recreation for festivals and family fun events. Our family has enjoyed all of the family-friendly events in Chandler for 18 years. I know there's probably room there to build. And for the workforce housing, I think I heard that they're looking at building some workforce housing in Chandler. And so the plan that I heard, I think sounds reasonable. And that's just to look, here's the thing. I have a daughter who's 17 years old. She would love to live in Chandler. When she turns 18, she'd love to raise her family in Chandler. And right now, it's be very difficult for her to get a place on her own. And so workforce housing is really important, I think. How do we develop that? I'm going to have to dive deep into that if I'm elected as council and find out. I don't have all the facts to answer that question, to be honest. I'm learning still about what they're doing and what the plans are. And so I'll just continue to dig deep in that and know that it's important, and especially for people who want to stay in Chandler.
Okay, thank you. Angel Encinas, same question.
All right, that same
When we
two-part
say
question.
capacity, we're talking about build out. So with Chandler at or near capacity or at build out,
Okay. Yes. With build out, it's a big topic here in Chandler, and I think it's more important now than ever that we collaborate closely with our residents on what the next step and what that next chapter is going to look like. And I'm excited to be part of that next chapter here in Chandler. But we need to work hand in hand with the communities that are going to be impacted by this growth or density, whether that's building up multifamily or repurposing existing buildings or spaces. As far as workforce housing, we also need to look at areas for opportunity zones, repurposing underutilized or blighted spaces, building relationships with a diverse range of developers, and updating development codes while eliminating needless ones are all strategies we can utilize to take advantage of that. Another great example is Maricory Woods Hometown for All initiative, which is a great program which dedicates about 50% of certain permitting fees solely to workforce housing, and it's already created a substantial positive impact on affordable workforce housing. As your council member, I'll begin to build public-private partnerships and implement a wide range of strategies previously mentioned that best fit our needs for our city and allow for all income levels to live and work here in Chandler.
thank you. Farhana,
Judge, could you kindly repeat the question?
yes, ma'am. With Chandler at near build out for development with only about 8% of the land left undeveloped, what recommendations do you have for not only the remaining land use, but how do you help create workforce housing in our city or affordable housing in our city?
Thank you. Chandler has the high employment and thus attracting so many people to relocate or stay or work in Chandler. Our success became our problem in a way because now also in Chandler we have only 3% land available and rest of it being used, so we are built out. So now when you cannot expand your hand, what you do? You just pull your hands up, right? So probably we came to that kind of situation. Our channel needs to be built in a more innovative way, how to accommodate more people in a small space. Couple of projects that currently the city is having, that mixed use facility, and that would be a model to review and understand how much of a success that brings, because in one unit if we can provide business and provide housing facilities, that will eliminate a lot of problem of the housing, just having a single family units. So also at the same time, from the city council perspective, the codes, city codes and zoning that we need to work on constantly, and also we need to have the private public partnership to have the investor with those kind of new ideas to invest on, and have the accommodation for the workforce in our city, so our city can not only provide the jobs, continue to provide the quality of life.
Jane Poston,
Well, this is an issue facing our entire country, but as we near build out, I think we need to be very careful about making sure that the right projects go in the right places. We need to be very careful about our land and where it's going. Also, I have talked to city staff, as well as city staff has approached this in a workshop, and I know that they're taking a multi-pronged approach. And I think it is a very reasonable, thoughtful approach in terms of developing affordable housing in our community. I think we need to continue to look across the country, look at our neighboring communities, and find those best practices that might suit us, that might be an appropriate fit. There are things that the city government can do and things that they shouldn't be doing. And we need to make sure that we're looking for best practices across the region. And then finally, I do know that we actually have some local developers that specialize in this particular issue. There are some projects and programs available through the federal government that provide some advantages to doing affordable housing. We need to look at those public-private partnerships right here in our own community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Matt Orlando.
Thank you, sir. First of all, we need to protect our economic corridors. We've been doing this for the last 45, 50 years. Price Road, West Chandler, and the airport. Those are the economic corridors, and we need those to continue putting business there so that we have the employment base for 15, 20 years from now. And to go back to affordable housing, we've been working on this issue for a couple of years now, the council. And we literally voted on it, or not voted, but we approved the staff to move forward on a couple of key components of that affordable housing plan. The first thing, the short-term solution is to update our city codes. I mean, little things like setbacks, parking spaces, making them smaller, reduce property lines, allow, and even large enough lots, you could put an in-law house. There's a lot of cities today that are actually building a small, we call it mother-in-law, father-in-law in-house on these properties. We could do little things like that. Short-term, those are code fixes. Long-term, we have to work with our state legislators to provide incentives for more construction, because there are a lot of things there are laws that certain laws we cannot do certain incentives. We need to work with the legislators to clean up those laws. We need to utilize the more public-private partnerships. There's a low and affordable housing credit tax called LIHTC bonds that we could actually induce developers to utilize those bonds to allow more affordable housing. We could also, long-term, we could look at taking down corners that we talked about earlier. And we could also ask our developers to set aside a certain affordable housing in a unit. So if you have a 400 multifamily, you could stipulate having 20% of those being workforce housing and the market value on the other 80%. And there's tax credits for that as well. So there's things we can do short-term and long-term, but whatever we do, we have to do something quick.
Thank you. Okay, next question will start with Angel Encinas. Public safety is an important issue for any city, with our police department being challenged to keep their staffing levels at a level that ensures the safety of our citizens is maintained. How do you plan on ensuring we maintain our safe city? Angel Encinas.
Thank you, Judge. Public safety is very important to me personally because I have friends and family who work in law enforcement and who are fallen officers of our Chandler PD. So keeping our residents safe is a top priority. And that means keeping our law enforcement well equipped with the resources they need and deserve to attend to our ever-growing population. You know, outside of 2 council members, it's been troubling to watch the leadership not responding to the needs and asks of our police. Recently, there has been movement to provide some resources, but it has not been at the ask. As your council member, I want to ensure that we provide all of our first responders with what they need to do their job safely and efficiently. I would like to provide resources to recruit and retain officers, have specialized responders to deal with mental health, substance abuse, de-escalation, and community policing tactics, as well as making sure that our physical and mental health of our first responders is being taken care of well into their retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Farhana, same question.
When we claim Chandler is a safe city, it's because of our law enforcement, because of their hard work and putting themselves at risk every day, day and night out there in the community. So what I get to hear, because that is not my area of expertise, I seek opinion and counseling from the active duty officers. And what I get to hear, our city can do better. Not at the way it should be totally expected by the citizen. This is the best situation we have, but our city at least progressing in that manner. But what I found personally, It's the needs and the changes of the direction of the people's habit, and also how we do the resource allocation. Those are the very in-depth steps are part of this law enforcement issue too. It's not just like how many police are we need, how many we don't have, or it's not just how many police are at the street or we don't have. But hopefully, um, when I would be in the council with your support, I will able to bring all the stakeholders together, have an open dialogue, assess the situation, and find the proper solution. Because end of the day, Chandler is the best city, or USA is the best country in the world because the law and order. So we need to back, support, and say thanks to our police officers. And always remember that they're just like us, but they're taking extra risk to keep us safe. So giving back to our officers is our community effort. That's why they work great in Chandler.
Thank you. Jane Poston.
Well, I'm very proud to be endorsed by both police and fire. That is something I am incredibly proud of. I do believe we are a safe city, but I believe that we're a safe city because of the dedication of those police officers and of those firefighters. And they work in hand with all of the departments in the city, our neighborhoods departments, our our public transportation. They all work together to ensure Chandler is safe. However, I do know that the pandemic exposed some gaps. And some of our police officers specifically are very tired. We don't want tired police officers. We want them to be able to go home and enjoy some time with their families. We want them to be paid well. We want them to be treated well. Both police and fire have a very risky job, and we need to appreciate what they do. I have been working actually hand in hand with the Law Enforcement Association to bring this issue to the forefront. And I am very glad to see that council is, after some time, finally making some efforts to improve our recruitment and to move forward with some pay with police officers. Right now, recruitment is the major issue that we're dealing with. So we want those other officers out there, or the new officers, to understand that Chandler is a great place to work, and treating our police officers and our firefighters well is a way to signal that.
Thank you. Councilmember Orlando.
Thank you. First of all, I'm too proud that I had the endorsement of both police and firefighters. I've worked many, many years in that particular arena for supporting our public safety. So it's a three-part process here. First of all, you need the authorization to hire more police officers. You have to identify why we have a shortage, and we did do that. Then you have to hire them, and then you have to find a way to pay for them. So last April, I got so frustrated that I put this agenda item on the council back in April, and I forced a conversation. I did not like doing that, but sometimes you have to make a tough decision, a tough call. And the chief got up here, and we had over 250 people in this audience, and overflow, and he described what he needed to make this city safer. He needed 45 police officers. We hired 25 right off the bat, and we have a plan to hire an additional 25 to 30 over the next year. As the mayor indicated earlier, we're hiring an additional 8 more this year. So that's the authorization. The problem is hiring. Tempe needs police officers too. So we're grabbing their police off, they're grabbing ours, Glendale. So we've expanded that scope of effort, and you'll see that in the next couple of months, or next couple of weeks as we roll this out. We have an aggressive recruiting program going on in our city that'll take us nationwide. This is an envious place to live and work. So we have to continue. So we will have an incentive program. And then finally, pay for them. You buy down the pension fund. We spent over $124 million to buy down our pension fund. That'll free up $9.3 million of ongoing dollars. So we have the authorization, continue working that. We're going to go out aggressively hire, and then we have a plan to pay for them.
Thank you. Darla Gonzalez.
It's always hard to follow this guy. Thanks, Matt. Now, public safety is number one for me. We all know that there are border crossings from known terrorists. and people that aren't being vetted, and there's fear. And our police are facing situations they've never had to face before. There's a homelessness increase. So we're asking our police to police and be mental health experts and to know all of these things. And I feel like we really need to make sure that they're supported with all of the resources that they need: money, staff, mental health access. I sat through a budget meeting the other day, and the chief had his ask to the council. I think it's important to have close communications and relations with the chief and with the association, making sure that we understand what the needs are and that we're meeting those needs. And if we have to reallocate resources, we reallocate resources. But we all want to feel safe, and we all want our kids to be safe, and we all want to have a quality life and just dream big, right? So let's just keep supporting the police in any way that we can. And I look forward to meeting with the chief and with the association president to find out how we can work together.
Thank you. Okay, last question. We'll start with Farhana. The last several years have been challenging for everyone due to COVID. How do you feel the city of Chandler handled the situation, and what could Chandler have done better?
I would definitely say kudos to the Chandler City Council, Chandler staff, and all other entities related to the Chandler City handling the COVID, the very unexpected situation wisely and nicely. Because when people were physically sick and afraid to face the virus, that they do not know the nature of that, but at the same time small business owner were getting so much in trouble, and even the corporate businesses are going through trouble because they didn't have all those ideas in place how to handle that. Very quickly, the manual after manual coming, the procedure has been changing, and that's hurt so many businesses in their revenue and turnout of the employees or the well-being of the employees. So that was a big thing. But the city handled it nicely. And what I saw, our city staffs are doing their job very nicely. Our fiscal year 2020-23 budget session, when I sat there all day long, I saw that the contingency plan, the way it's planned out, the way the one-time dollar and the continuing dollar that's allocated to support different areas, and also just like COVID, we'll be having another problem, inflation. But I asked our CFO of the city directly, will that going to hurt us? She said, no, we have better contingency plan. As a city, we will not get hurt, but as a constituent, we might. But that's where we need the more engagement between the city and the local communities to face it together, win it together, battle it together.
Thank you. Jane Poston.
Thank you, Judge Jay. Um, Hindsight on an issue like this, especially one that none of us have ever dealt before, hindsight's 2020. So it's difficult to be too critical. But one of the issues that I would have liked to have seen the city maybe do a little bit of a better job on is to make this a smoother process for some of our partners. So including the school district that was working to provide hotspots to our most vulnerable students and their families. Including the Chandler Chamber of Commerce, which was really boots on the ground and having those daily conversations while dealing with the same pandemic issues that every other business was in town. I think they did eventually make some of those processes a little bit smoother, but I think maybe trusting our partners a little more, that they knew what was best for their own communities, their own constituents, whether that's the school and the students that they deal with every single day, or the Chamber of Commerce and the businesses that they were talking to every day. I would have liked to have seen that been a little bit of a smoother process for, and that goes back to collaboration and relationships with those entities, which I think is incredibly important at the best of times, but certainly in the worst of times.
Thank you. Councilmember Orlando.
So, answer the first part of the question. We had a myriad of meetings, and at times we tend to be, and I'm self-critical myself, inconsistent. You had some areas of our community that was partially open, like our libraries, which was encouraging other residents to come down to use our libraries and potentially expose our workers to COVID, where they closed down all the way. So there was some inconsistencies. Yeah, we had some departments that fully closed down, and they felt a little bit safer. We overtaxed our public safety issues just because of the pandemic. So we learned some lessons there as well, what we need to do in the future about that. We also learned that we had infrastructure issues in Chandler. We cannot literally deploy over 1,600 people to work from home. But fortunately, we had some dollars that we put into the infrastructure. Today, it's more robust. We we did a great job in supporting the retail and the business, keep them open with federal dollars. The chamber helped immensely in that program. We certainly appreciate that. And of course, keeping people in their homes. We did a great job working with the nonprofits in trying to keep folks home, paying their rental and utilities. It was a tough time for all of us, but I learned a lot of valuable lessons on that. And we will be prepared the next time. The other thing we did that our firefighters were proactive is they went out to all the senior center units and they were helping the senior facility members there get ready for the COVID pandemic. So we did a lot of good things and we did some things consistently. There's some lessons learned there. So as a former military officer, you always look at those chalkboards and say, what can we do better next time?
Thank you. Darla Gonzalez.
Yeah, so during COVID, I agree with, hindsight is 2020. I think that threw everybody for a loop. What I saw was communities working well with city, which was good. And I also felt like communication was good with council because I was having questions, and every time I would text a council member, they would answer me back and that they were doing their due diligence and they were listening to the business owners and listening to the residents, and that gave me confidence that they were taking it seriously. So how did they handle it? In my opinion, I thought they were communicative. Could they have been more communicative? Maybe. I think like in my case with the school district, I think the school district struggled, and their options weren't great for online charter schools. I think that transition was hard on my daughter. But again, lessons learned, and you just go forward and do better next time.
Thank you. Angel Encinas.
Yes, on the way that our city handled this, like Matt had said, we did well in the transitions and the communications with it all. It's something that myself and my generation, my parents' generation, even my grandparents' generation have not gone through before or experienced having a pandemic, nor has our government at that level. So I do give kudos to Chandler for what they've done, but what is more important is that our businesses and our residents who are negatively impacted have the resources they need to recover. Making sure that our city allocates federal funds dedicated to those who are in need in a timely and efficient manner. And that we as a city, God forbid, are prepared for this if it happens again. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, time for closing statements. We're going to go in the reverse order that we started with the intros. You have 2 minutes. We will start with Jane Poston for closing statements. Jane Poston.
All right, thank you, Judge Jay. And I do want to thank the chamber, the sponsors. I'd like to thank both police and fire for your endorsements. This is a big commitment, but I'd especially like to thank my family. Public service is a big commitment, and there is no way that anyone could spend this amount of time without the rock that is my husband and both of my kids, and their support is invaluable. I believe in Chandler. I believe in our residents. I believe in our business community. I love this city. I love this community. I hope to take my leadership skills and serve this community. Again, my name is Jane Poston. If you'd like to learn more, it's at janeposton.com. I asked for your vote on August 2nd, and I asked for your endorsement from the chamber. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight.
Thank you. Farhana Shifa.
Dear Chandler residents and my friends, I'm Farhana Shifa, and I'm asking for your trust in me to lead Chandler in the right direction, in the loving place you are deciding to live in and you are looking forward to have. My passion makes me separate from any other candidates here. My passion to serve you with a servant heart. When I'll be elected, holding me accountable will be your job. So it's a teamwork, it's a partnership. So as a team, together, we'll make sure Chandler is going forward to the right direction and we have the best city in the nation. And my focuses are having the best community, which is a family friendly community, having the best safe environment. That means backing up our law enforcement with all the resources they need and all the other first responder in the city, and keeping this city fiscally responsible the way it has been. And I know you have been serving for many, many years, and you are the proud contributor of that too. Thank you, Judge. To keep that in direction, the legacy that our previous councils and mayors built, embrace that, learn from the mistake, and go to the right direction. But we can do it together only if we have very nonpartisan mindset and keep working for the people and for you. I wish to earn your vote on August 2nd. If you have any further question after tonight, call me, text me, email me. If not, just go to my website, Farhana Shifa for Chandler.com. Leave me a message and I will answer back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Angel Encinas, closing comments.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the chamber for this opportunity, and I would like to thank my fellow candidates for participating tonight and having the courage to run for this office. To Chandler and his voters, tonight is only a glimpse of my dedication to our city. I invite you to visit my campaign page and social media at angelforchandler.com for more information. I grew up in Chandler and I have an amazing life. I want to preserve that for future generations by continuing our economic development, investing in public safety, and fostering our community and the quality of life our residents have come to enjoy. I am a son of Chandler, and I truly believe it takes a village. I'm a product of Chandler's educators, programs, leadership, and businesses. And my goal as your council member is to take what Chandler has given me and apply it right back to Chandler to continue that excellence for years to come. I'm proud to be Chandler grown and growing Chandler. Thank you.
Thank you. Darla Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you again to the chamber. Thank you for having us here, having me here. I hope to earn your endorsement. I want to thank all the people who've supported me here and have the confidence in me. I love Chandler. I'm passionate about people, and I'm passionate about community and bridging networks and bringing people together. That's really important to me. The role of government is protect your rights. I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about making sure that I'm a good steward of your taxpayer money because, like you, I work hard for my money, and so I want to respect the money that you give the city and make sure that we are being fiscally responsible. And I want to make sure that we're safe, that we have this beautiful, lively downtown Chandler that continues, that our family-friendly festivals continue, and that we all just can experience a quality of life together. And so again, I'm Darla Gonzalez. I'm like Farhana, completely transparent. If you have any questions for me, call me, email me, go to my website, darlaforchandler.com, and I'm happy to talk to you about anything you want to talk about. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Councilmember Matt Orlando.
Thank you, Judge Jay, Mayor Jay, friend Jay. First of all, I want to thank all of you.
Thank
You know, I sat down with all of you. Some of you still owe me coffee, by the way. I'm going to make a phone. But I was very impressed. You asked some great questions, and I hope I answered those questions for you. I hope I was able to help you out. So thank you for doing what you're doing. It's not an easy job, trust me. But appreciate that. And I will collect that coffee. Today, we had a great discussion of our vision of Chandler. We might have different opinions of how we get to be a better place, but we all agree we have a great starting point. Chandler today is a great place to live and work. As your council member, I have demonstrated and proved I have the ability to ask challenging questions and make tough decisions. I have served when Chandler was the fastest growing community 3 years in a row in the United States of America, the fastest growing. During the recession and now to the COVID pandemic. I think I'm tested, folks. And all those challenges, times, we came out stronger and better. I thank you for your support in my previous campaigns for the city council. And now I ask you again to put that trust in my experience to make Chandler an even better place to live, work, and play for all of you and your family. I'll admit there's still a lot of work to do, but I'm only getting started. Please vote for Matt Orlando, August 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. This is going to conclude our debate for this evening. We heard some great answers and some great insight into these candidates. This event hopefully gives voters a clear picture of which candidates to support or to consider supporting. Watch the Chandler Chamber's website for the latest in candidate information. I would again like to thank the Chandler Chamber of Commerce and their sponsors, Intel and Southwest Gas Company, for their sponsorships. And thank you to the City of Chandler, obviously, for allowing us to use this great facility. I want to specifically give a shout out to Terry Kimball and her staff for the work that goes into putting on a debate like this. Like I said earlier at the mayor's debate, with the lack of media coverage, not just in the state, but nationwide, it's difficult to get attention to a local race like this or local issues. So this is one way to do that. And so again, thanks to Terry, thanks to staff, thanks to all of you guys. You did great. Stay healthy, stay safe, and good night.